you familiar with the term five head?
That's someone with a very large forehead?
Yeah, like someone's a bigger forehead, like 5 is bigger than 4.
Yes,
yeah.
Okay.
I feel like our main character in this movie has like a 6 head at least. This guy's got a fucking big forehead. Come on.
Oh my God. You know what? It didn't register.
Are you shitting me?
It was not something that registered for me. You're talking about our Brad character?
That's right.
Okay, now that you say it, he does have a very large forehead, but you know why I think it stands out amongst the rest? Is because the 80s hair on everyone else is so poofy and down on their faces and heads that it's sort of in comparison ridiculous that his hair is not styled that way.
I mean, his is poofy too, but it just starts further back. I know what you mean, though. He's by far one of the weaker heads of hair in this otherwise glorious representation of 80s, Midwestern life. Wait, is Missouri in the Midwest? I'm so bad at geography.
Oh my God, I hope so. Sorry to the fine people of Missouri.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Welcome to Bad Movies and Beer. I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
And today, by special request, we are discussing Justice Ninja Style, which is a movie I'm almost certain most people on Earth have not seen.
Well, if you don't live in the fine city of DeSoto, Missouri, then maybe not. Yeah. This is sort of like another passion project kind of movie. We watched a few of them on the podcast here. In our first interlude, what did we watch? It was
Motorcycle Maniacs.
Yeah, Motorcycle Maniacs. And then we also watched Miami Connection, the YK Kim passion
all
project.
The Rudy Ray Moore movies.
Yeah.
What else do we got here?
We
just watched
Champagne and Bullets.
Champagne and Bullets, which maybe is the film this most closely resembles.
I think yes, in many ways. Miami Connection has a lot of crossover with this thing too in some ways.
That's true, but it was Champagne and Bullets where the producers of this Blu-ray actually reached out to us and suggested that we review this movie. A fine company called VHShitfest, or as they are now known through more reputable channels, VHShitfest. They were forced to change that name, I guess. Shot on video, by the way. We didn't mention that. It's not a film. It was literally shot on video. And they have partnered up with Vinegar Syndrome, who we love, of course. Vinegar Syndrome is distributing this for them. But the guy who actually owns, I guess, this company or the rights to it reached out and was like, you guys should do this. It was because of our Champagne and Bullets episode. So we are doing that for the fine folks at VHShitfest.
Love it. I love the name. And also their logo pops up on this Blu-ray and it's fantastic. It does the sort of box around the VHS.
The old VHS, yeah.
But the box also incorporates the H in their Hitfest or Shitfest, however you want to pronounce it. And I think that's really awesome. I love that this was a recommendation and that because they saw we had done Champagne and Bullets, they were reaching out. So really excited to watch this one.
Definitely. They're a Vinegar Syndrome partner label, and you should definitely check out some other stuff. I believe they also have a YouTube channel with some reviews and some other stuff they do. And if you have not watched Justice Ninja Style, I would recommend it, I think, if we're,
Yeah, I think it's worth watching. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely take a look. I mean, we're going to go through everything and give you our full review of this thing so you can hear all about this movie. But before we do, what do we always do on the podcast?
Well, we always pair it up with a beer. We make some kind of beer connection. And in this case, you mentioned the town of DeSoto, Missouri, where apparently this thing was filmed, and not just filmed, they incorporated basically the whole town. The town enthusiastically just went along with this to the point where we're seeing actual DeSoto police cars, fire trucks. These are actual locations. There are locals populating, we assume, almost all of the roles in this movie. This is a legit production where the whole town is involved. And so what brewery are we drinking a beer from today?
Yeah, so it would have been amazing if we could have found something from the town of DeSoto, but being...
I don't know if they have fucking craft
breweries.
Oh yeah,
we don't know. We're not
Missouri.
sure.
I don't know.
But we thought it was appropriate. As an homage to the town of DeSoto, we are drinking something from Town Brewery. Now, this is out of Whitby, Ontario, this brewery. I think they're on the lakeshore, you said. Have you visited it before?
I have not been to the actual location. I've driven by it a few times. The Whitby Lakeshore is not... It's kind of a dead zone. They've got some industrial stuff down there, and this brewery is down there. It's not really a populated area like other sort of lakeshore areas are, in Toronto.
So So you haven't actually
Not
visited?
so
I'm not
much,
sure.
no.
Okay. This stuff is readily available though. I've drank a lot of Town stuff. I know it's in our LCBOs in Ontario. It's probably available in other places in Canada too. So I think they're distributing it a lot. I've liked everything they made. They came out in 2017, the brewery, and their focus is really on modern pale ales and IPAs, I say, but I know they do lagers and sours too.
Yeah, this is a pale ale we're drinking today. What's it called?
It's called Outside Jokes, and I think that actually kind of fits with our movie here too. So much of it takes place in the outdoors, and so much of it is pretty hilarious watching our ninja style. So
yeah,
it fits, but really our connection with this is the Town Brewery, and that's mostly because of DeSoto, Missouri, who took such a key part in making this film. And this really does seem like it was something that the whole town was involved in. I wonder why they chose this town. I don't know. Maybe
it was because of that willingness. Maybe
Yeah.
they were like, yeah, we'll do this. Absolutely. You can use our real police cars. You can film a scene in our actual jail. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to see all of that stuff happen here. And so let's crack open these beers and talk about Justice Ninja Style.
Absolutely. Let's do it. So unbelievably, we open with a Star Wars style scroll telling us that for over 7 centuries, the art form known as ninjutsu has been handed down from generation to generation. It continued through the years as an unknown art in the West and a highly feared art in the East. Right through World War I and II, the legend of the Ninja Warrior was thought to be just that, a legend, because of the tales of the impossible feats reported by the local townspeople. Can the ninja really disappear, climb sheer cliffs, defeat numerous enemies at a time, fly through the air, or change his appearance like a chameleon? We may never know because the Ninja Warrior has become extinct. Until now. God damn it, I am in love with this movie already.
Holy fuck, the scroll went on forever. You correctly made a prediction when we were watching that it would end with a ... until now.
But it wasn't a real prediction. I was like, I would love it if they did this. I mean, there's no fucking way. And then when it happened, I popped so loud.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. So we're starting off hot here. We've got this sweet scroll, and we kind of get a above town view. We've got sort of this wide shot showing the town, and we start zooming in and get introduced to our first characters into DeSoto, Missouri here.
Yeah, and I should mention that while this is going on, what we've got in the background is basically a keyboard demo track. Like, you know, like seriously, if you had a keyboard and you would press like whatever, it would just play. This is like that kind of music, and the music as we go through this just gets really incredible. We do see the town of DeSoto, Missouri, and we see 2 women exit a diner. They are talking about weekend plans and men they'd like to date or not date. But as they drive away, we see them being followed by a police car. Now, soon after, they experience car trouble, a flat tire that I'm thinking might not have been an accident.
Yeah, this is a problem here. They're really laying it out for us, right? These women are talking about who they don't want to date, and key on that list is George the cop.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
You'll never guess who's in that police car.
who's following him in that police car, right? They leave the diner, and the diner was right beside a mechanic, so they would have had help if there was a problem, but they don't notice it until they're out in the middle of town. They pull off, and they come up with an interesting plan. Instead of staying together, one woman is going to walk alone ahead towards and find some help, and the other is going to wait there and use her feminine wiles to convince some man to fix her tire for her.
Yeah, that's her exact quote.
I'll stick around here in case somebody comes along. With my obvious female charms, I might have it fixed before you get back.
That's I thought that was enjoyable. So that's Shelley, the one who stays behind. Carol is the one who goes walking for help. And we get to see Shelley's feminine wiles in full effect when that cop car rolls up, as one of them, the aforementioned George, is just all over her. The police coming in hot once again. God damn.
They definitely do not get a good rap on any of the
Every
movies we
movie we
watch.
watch, they're so shitty.
Oh my God. Now, you failed to mention that almost this entire conversation, there are people in the car, the 2 women, Shelley and Carol, are not actually moving their mouths. It is an overdub that's giving everything that they're saying.
Well, we can't really see their mouths, but like the audio is definitely overdubbed because you're shooting on video. They're shooting an outside shot of the car. They wouldn't be able to have the fucking sound.
Mike's in there. No. So they actually do a pretty good job of this, I found, but it takes away a little bit. I think we also get our first of our internal monologues here.
That is true. Yes, there are moments where the characters are expressing thoughts, and Shelley is like sitting there thinking about things and. Yeah, I don't know. I like how Carol leaves, and 5 seconds later, Shelley's like, Carol, what a bore. I'm like, this her best friend and she's just shitting on her.
Yeah, and it's in her head too. It's not that she's saying any of it out loud or to anyone. We're getting that monologue overdubbed, which is kind of funny. I'm having trouble with it. The acting already is telling you that it is certainly an amateur production.
Oh my God. If that wasn't abundantly clear from the whole shot on video thing and the filmed in town, but yes. Now, after Shelley rebuffs George's advances, he gets very handsy and ultimately violent. But inexplicably, when he slaps her in the face, she fucking dies. He kills her with an open hand slap to the face. So that's bad.
Hold on. He doesn't just slap her. He does use his nightstick.
Oh, the nightstick is in his hand. Oh, yes. I don't think I noticed that.
Yeah, so the nightstick, when he swings his hand across, he uses the nightstick.
Oh, yeah, that's more realistic.
And it knocks her down. I think he's like probably just knocked her out or like given her a bit of a contusion here, but she's dead.
It didn't seem to be enough for a kill, even with the nightstick, in my opinion.
No, absolutely not.
So that's bad. But what is also bad is that someone just happens to be jogging by at that exact same moment. Or hey, maybe that's not so bad because George has an idea.
Yeah, the jogger does not see the dead body of the woman on the ground. He just sees two police officers there. They come up to him and ask him who he is. He tells them he is the guy who started the local martial artist.
He's opened the local karate studio.
Jesus Christ. So he just happens to have weapon skills. And so this police officer who has like one shot the woman with the thing asks for some help learning how to use it. He's trying to get some fingerprints on the nightstick because this is what has taken out the poor Shelley character. So unwittingly, this martial arts instructor shows him how to use it for a minute. And George actually, in a kind of like clever and funny way here, is like smirking and laughing. He's like, perfect. Yes. Thank you.
You missed a key detail, though, which is before he gives him the nightstick, he tries to twirl it on himself and he accidentally hits himself in the forehead. So now he's going to have a bruise and a contusion that he can blame later on the fucking martial arts guy.
Which is hilarious because he mentions it so often in the movie. And
there's like nothing there.
There's nothing there. Like there's no damage.
Their makeup effects budget for this film is like zero.
There was no bruise budget apparently.
No.
Yeah. So that he keeps mentioning it, but that doesn't happen. But so now the fingerprints are on it and they decide to arrest and frame this man. How does George's partner feel about it though?
His partner, Grady is his name. We get the impression he's kind of a sketchbag too, but this is sort of a bridge too far for him. However, George basically hits him with the old, if I go to jail, so do you. And so now he's kind of back against the wall thing, and he does agree to go along with this.
Yeah, I kind of got the sense that actually he was a clean cop. Like, this is the first time he's ever had to break a rule, and he's having trouble with it.
My counter argument for you is when Shelley and Carol are in the car and they're talking about what they mentioned Grady kind of derisively, like, oh, not Grady, which made me inherently think he was kind of evil.
But I think they were mentioning it more because he was such a, like, stiff, like he's such a rule follower kind of guy. Wow. It seems like George was the guy who, like, abuses power, and Grady was kind of the, like, I'm going to follow every rule.
It's possible we may be diving too deep into this right now. I don't know what to tell you. So anyway, they decide to frame this guy, Brad is his name, for the murder. Somehow Carol has already made it to a mechanic and is back with a tow truck, even though it's been literally 3 minutes. But when she arrives, George paints the picture of what he and Grady are going to claim happened. According to him, they caught the jogger trying to rape Shelley and managed to subdue him after a scuffle that saw him grab George's nightstick and hit him with it. And because that jogger's fingerprints are in fact on the nightstick that we said, they've got a pretty good chance of getting away with this. At least they would have a good chance if it wasn't for a certain mysterious ninja watching from the bushes.
So we get a shot of them corralling Brad, our jogger martial artist, into the police car. They just fucking leave Shelley's body on the ground.
Yeah, they call the coroner first, but they're just going to leave it there and hope.
Yeah,
they
don't create a crime scene. They don't put any tape up. They do nothing. They just leave the fucking girl's corpse in a ditch.
That was the 80s, you know?
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
Plus, I don't know, maybe the fine police department of DeSoto, Missouri is not lauded for its...
for following its forensic countermeasures effectively.
It was the 80s.
Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of funny. So, of course, they drive away, leave the corpse there, and we do get a very quick shot of a ninja hiding in the bushes. The ninja saw all of this. The ninja witnessed the encounter with the police, knows that our karate master is innocent, and I don't know. Do you think that's going to come back in this movie?
Oh, well, it definitely is. But this is also the biggest plot hole in this entire movie, which is, why is that ninja there? Why is a ninja inexplicably hiding in the bushes on this side road of DeSoto, Missouri, just in the correct time to observe this murder happening?
The ninja originally lived on the west coast of America, but after...
No spoilers. Don't spoil this yet. This is our big reveal. I don't know why he's there in that moment. It makes no sense. This is so inexplicable, and it's a huge issue.
Well, I mean, the ninja's there because it had to be so that it could see that he was not guilty and would come to his aid. This movie is called Justice Ninja Style, right? So we know
but I just thought Brad was going to be the ninja because he knows karate. He knows the karate thing.
No, so this is what the real message of the movie is, that if you are in karate school, you are not a ninja. It's not the same thing.
I don't think that's the real message of this movie, but we'll get to that later. So Brad is locked up now, and to pass the time, he's going to do some karate-style breathing exercises. I like how when the cops see him doing this, they're like, maybe he's on dope. He can't comprehend what like Tai Chi is.
Yeah, they just assume he's doing drugs because he is exercising. They're like, what the fuck? It's pretty funny. We get some interesting moments in this prison, right? The police acting is really poor here.
They're also just giving away way too much
of what's like the plot is and things that are happening.
The next scene, Carol comes to the jail cell to ream out Brad, and once she leaves, George basically tells him that he did this and he's going to kill him before he gets to trial.
Now you're guilty, mister. Guilty of sin.
No, wait.
And you know what else?
What?
I wouldn't be surprised if you never made it to a trial.
And just what is that supposed to mean?
Well, you know what they say, better you than me. There's no way I'm going behind bars.
Like maybe tipping your hand a bit too much there.
Yeah, there is a lot of exposition that's said out loud rather than shown in a movie, and that's always sort of an amateur or problematic thing, right? Like that's a sign of a poorly written or organized film if you have to say everything rather than show people, and there is so much of that in here. I was wondering how you felt about the music while he was doing the Tai Chi.
All of this music is just ridiculous. It's just like, I literally picture somebody with a keyboard and they will like change the settings and then just start like playing stuff with different tones.
Kind of reminded me of Kung Fu, The Legend Continues.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. But those weren't synthesized sounds.
No, they had real ones.
The actual,
yeah, they did. But that was kind of what it was giving me. So he's doing his exercises in there. They're calling him a drug addict or saying he's on dope. I thought it was hilarious that his dojo or his place is called Cobra Karate.
Yeah, that's not to be confused with Cobra Kai. I would assume that if anyone had actually seen this, that would have been a rather substantial lawsuit.
Yeah.
Seems very close to me.
Yeah, it was really close, and I thought that was funny. I like that they've told everything here. Brad now has it all figured out. And then we transition to seeing the ninja. But how do we know that the ninja's coming?
Because of that fucking wood
yeah,
pipe.
It's pure chimes. Yeah, we're getting pan flute and chimes.
It's chimes. You're right. It's like the wood chimes. Yeah.
Yeah, we get the chimes, and it kind of sounds like an old school Japanese video game too. So the ninja's coming, and I don't think the ninja's okay with Brad being in jail, do you?
Definitely not. So much of the music in this sounds like video game music from the 80s. No, this whole murder situation, not only is the ninja clearly upset, but it's also riling up the people of DeSoto. Carol's dad, who's also the president of the town council, he shows up to complain, and our two crooked cops argue in the next scene that things are already getting a bit too hot. But little do they know that just outside, that mysterious ninja's about to turn up the heat even more with some sweet slow motion roof flips and also a fire. Does he set this, or?
We get some camera angles of this ninja on the roof, and he's doing rolls and flips between rooftops. These are all real things that are happening, and they're pretty good.
Well, we see him hit like one roll. The rest is just jumping, but he landed that roll. I'll give him credit.
But I mean, in terms of like a camera that you're filming on, like, with the production value, I'm actually enjoying the angles they're taking, the shots they're getting. They're doing a decent job here.
The key word there is with the production value. Because yes, compared to the rest of the stuff we see, there are a couple of pretty good shots compared to the rest of the stuff we see.
Yeah, that's fair. We have a scene sort of spliced in here too of Brad doing his internal dialogue and contemplating life and the decisions he's made.
Man.
These are my least favorite scenes in the movie when do these.
We talked about this last season, Serpent and the Rainbow. I hate when there's the fucking on-screen narrator.
Yeah, so that sucks balls. But the ninja's doing cool stuff. It definitely sets the fire. It sets it in a garbage can. So what they're trying to do here is create a distraction. We've got large black clouds of smoke coming up over the building. And it's actually brought out the real fire department. We've got the DeSoto Fire Department responding to the call. They had yellow fire engines, which I thought was a unique call. I've never seen that before.
Well, but if you go to different places, cop cars are different colors. They aren't all like blue and white or whatever the fuck. You know, I think it's different things.
I have never seen a non-red fire engine.
I mean, I haven't either, but that could just be where we live. I don't know. That fire does create the distraction that you mentioned. It pulls George out of the police station when someone runs in to tell him, which leaves Grady by himself. And as I'm sure you know, no individual man is a match for the stealth of the Ninja Warrior. He sneaks in, picks the lock to Brad's cell in record time, and we are immediately launched into an incredible chase scene. Jailbreak!
What's hilarious here is once he meets the ninja, Brad is shocked and baffled. He's like, ninjas don't exist. They're not real. So we know that this mythos that's been set with the scroll at the beginning is true, right? Nobody believes a ninja is real. He opens it way too quickly, but then immediately disappears. Brad walks out of his cell, kicks Grady in the head.
That kick was fucking hilarious.
So good.
Hilarious.
So good. Doesn't have full extension on his leg in any way, but it knocks him out in one kick. Pretty funny. And like you said, we got the chases on. It starts with him trying to jump over a dead tree.
He does not clear that tree.
No, he eats a lot of the tree but lands on his feet. And then we get George, the cop, chasing him, who also eats a lot of the tree but falls.
Yeah, man. So Brad gets away, or at least for now. But as George points out, this might actually work out great for them, because if they can get to him before anyone else does, they can kill him and claim self-defense. And they do get to Brad first, but I'm legitimately confused about how. They get a call on their walkie-talkie that he's been spotted in an old junkyard. But when they get there, the place is deserted. So who spotted him? Like, who called this in?
Yeah, there's no one there to call it in. The fact that Brad is just hanging out in a junkyard full of cars for no reason, like, there's not even a good hiding spot. I mean, there's a lot of shit, but
yeah, that's where you hide. You hide in all the stuff.
I guess so.
But you know what else? There's a lot of really noisy stuff that when you walk into it, it clangs and all falls
yeah,
over.
Let everyone know where you are. Oh my
God.
God. So really this was chosen because they thought it would be a fun scene for them to film a chase.
And it is a fun scene,
yeah.
Man. They can't catch him. He runs along the top of a bunch of those old cars, dodging gunshots before swinging himself around a tree to escape, which is pretty awesome. But he doesn't get far, as when scouting a barn as a potential hiding spot, he's immediately found by some farmers who recognize him from the news and try to capture him for what they call a reward. So Brad is fucked. Unless, of course, that mysterious ninja just happens to be in the very same barn holding an incredibly realistic fake torso. Seriously, what the fuck is happening here? Like, come on.
So it's way too quick that these two very large and strong farmers, I mean, farmers tend to be big and strong. It's part of their
Country strong,
job.
buddy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But they trap Brad. When he is about to get pulled in, the ninja slides open the door and just happens to have a fake ninja dummy there. I don't know.
No head, though. Just the torso and legs.
Yeah, just the torso. So the one farmer, the one holding sort of like a machete, stabs the torso of it. It gets stuck in there, and the ninja quickly dispatches him. And then we get a bit of a battle here between the other farmer, our big strong farmer with a pitchfork, and our ninja. And they're going at it for a while. It seems more like a WWF wrestling match than it does a fucking ninja battle.
Oh my God, yeah, the ninja like body slams at one point. Brad just watches the ninja kick the living shit out of this burly farmer type, laughing and cheering him on. But when Brad steps up to get a closer look, the ninja is gone. He tries calling out to him, saying,
Hey, look. I know what you are. And I saw you at the jail. You're not some kind of a devil. You're a ninja. Ninja? In this day and age? In this town?
I don't know about you, but I do not feel like the actor playing Brad is doing a good job of expressing his awe and disbelief.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
It's really bad.
I mean, the acting in this whole movie is
Terrible.
atrocious.
Fundamentally terrible.
Fundamentally awful. Brad, because of the amount of screen time, it's
more noticeable.
Yeah, oh my God. It's pretty brutal here. Again, this is an exposition. He's explaining everything to the audience when it doesn't need to happen. He does sort of turn the corner, though, and run into our ninja again.
Yeah, but the ninja, I guess, was still fighting with the other farmer. He kind of throws another guy out there, and the ninja, like, without ever speaking, through some sort of hand gestures, communicates something to fucking Brad.
We are friend. That happens later. He basically tells Brad that it's time for Brad to go get the fuck out of here and hide. And then the ninja disappears again.
He does. And now it's time for a gratuitous padding scene as we get some footage of a training session in the Cobra Karate School. After the class is dismissed, the instructor, Dan is his name, gets a quick rundown of what's happened and what might be the worst acted scene in this whole movie.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. This is the Dan and Kathy conversation.
Was her name Kathy? I didn't catch it.
Holy.
Fucking terrible. They are just digging an acting hole from which they will never escape.
These are real members of the DeSoto community, I believe. So I don't want to shit
I'm
on
not
them too
convinced
hard.
that anyone in this movie isn't a local of the DeSoto, Missouri community of 1986.
Well, then whoever played George the police officer hopefully got some more future acting jobs because he carries the load in this movie.
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
They're so bad. Anyway, they wrap this conversation up. Dan heads out to his car where Brad jumps out of the bushes looking for help. But can he believe him?
How could he? Because his witness is a fucking ninja. Ninjas don't exist, man.
No, Dan's right. A mysterious ninja who does not talk is not a good witness. In fact, he thinks Brad is telling him jokes. Outside jokes?
Good connection. I'm almost done mine.
Yeah, I am too, but that's not because it's good. I'm just trying to get it finished. It's very hoppy.
So delicious. Dan has decided to hide Brad at the Parker house. So this is sort of like an abandoned house. Although when we got to it, it looked pretty nice still. It still had all the furniture.
Did not see that abandoned, no.
No. So he's going to hide him there. And then we get a quick transition to Carol talking to Nick Nixon of the Nick Nixon band.
Yeah, local musician Nick Nixon. They zoom in on his fucking appearing tonight, like on some billboard at some bar. I'm like, what? This must be a real guy. I don't know. Yes, Dan is going to help Brad out by hiding him at the old Parker house. But you know who does not want to help him? Carol. We see in this next scene that she is still very hot about this. And all I could think of was, gee, I wonder if they're going to end up bumping into each other and eventually falling in love. What do you think?
I didn't even consider that there was going to be a relationship or love between Carol.
Are you serious?
And Brad. No. Like, it just didn't even
What do you
seem
mean?
possible to me.
Oh,
So-
well, sorry, it shouldn't happen.
No.
But you have to know it's going to.
Why?
Because she's the female lead and he's the male lead,
my
and this is a
God.
clear example of this type of 80s movie. I
Jesus,
don't know.
what is going to happen here?
You know what's going to happen. They're going to bump into each other and like he'll convince her that he's innocent and they'll fucking fall in love. And it happens. It happens very quickly.
I don't understand. Nothing based on their conversations or things that happened showed me that they should have found common ground and fallen in love.
Shouldn't have happened.
No.
And it certainly shouldn't have happened that fast. But we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
You forgot to mention that local musician Nick Nixon is like a great value Michael McDonald. That's what he looks like.
He absolutely does. We shouldn't fucking like soil the name of good.
No, that's
goddamn
why I
Mike
said.
McDonald,
Although
though,
perhaps not the biggest musical cameo we see in this movie.
Oh my God. I can't believe
So before we get to the part where Carol finds Brad and they get to know each other, we get a quick scene where Officer George pulls Dan over and roughs him up with some hilarious sound effects before that mysterious ninja pulls out a throwing star and gets George in his gun hand. And by gets him, I mean the throwing star literally bounces off his hand. Like, wouldn't it stick in him? They clearly just did not have the budget for that kind of blood effect.
Yeah, none of the shurikens in this movie actually stick into things that they're thrown at. They are clearly the safety ones that you give to children as
It's
props.
rubber. It bounces off his hand, man.
Yeah.
I did like how Dan picks up the star afterwards and is like,
A shuriken? Well, Brad must have been telling the truth all the time.
come on, man.
More fucking internal dialogue. Oh my God.
He might have said it out loud. We only see a shot of his
God.
hand holding
no,
it.
he
But
didn't.
I
It was
don't
in his
know.
fucking head.
Bad times. Anyway, back at the old Parker house, Carol wakes Brad up at gunpoint, but she does not want to hear his ninja story. She does seem to be considering the part of the story where George and Grady might have been responsible for Shelley's death. And when Dan shows up with the tale of George assaulting him and the throwing star, she's totally on board, right?
Oh my goodness. Well, not quite yet. She doesn't
Not
believe
at
it
all.
yet.
She makes her more suspicious.
She doesn't believe in this shit. She's like, you guys are telling me crap, which I actually liked. Because I think it's pretty improbable that even if you gave all of the exposition of what happened, this woman is going to believe your story. So she's got this big shotgun. She's got it ready to use it on either Dan or Brad. So she's going to take them out to the car and they're going to drive to town and explain this all to the police. She'd rather be the chief of police because I don't think she trusts George, but he's not around right now.
Oh, he's on vacation. Did they mention that here or no?
Yeah,
I
they
didn't catch
mentioned
that.
it.
I only
They
caught it at
mentioned
the
it,
end, and
yeah.
I was like, what? So she's not convinced, but that's going to change in a second when the ninja blow darts her from a tree, thus irrefutably proving every part of Brad's story. A blow dart from a ninja? Oh my God, you must be telling the truth. What?
She didn't see the fucking ninja. She just got hit in the arm with a blow dart. It could have
A
been
non-lethal. It was just there to startle her.
Yeah, it didn't hurt. She just popped it right
I'm
out.
sure it hurt. She got darted in the fucking forearm.
So she's completely on board now. She believes everything, and now she's in love.
Which makes no sense. Well, we find that out when a random cop shows up. He has them dead to rights, but Carol plays the damsel in distress, then knees the cop in the dick, which allows him to escape. Well, that's not really true. The ninja shooting a crossbow at the cop's gun allows him to escape after a subsequent nunchuck fight and random fireball. I'm trying to describe this, but I am not doing it justice.
You can't describe it. The reason why you watch this movie is for most of the ninja fights. They are something special. The amount of sound effects put in when he is moving those nunchucks are extraordinary.
It's unreal.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, they're making so much noise.
Yeah, it's so good. The skills that are presented here, probably good for 86, but not tremendously.
You mean just the ninja, though?
Yeah.
No one else but the guy
no.
playing the ninja.
But even the guy playing the ninja is not like...
Again, it's compared to everything else.
Yes,
it's compared to everything else.
exactly,
It's
yeah.
the land of the blind.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't even know. He nunchucks the guy maybe a couple times. The cop is not at all worried about him. He even says,
All right, 8 years in the Marine Corps, take care of you, buddy.
but no, he gets his ass handed to him by this ninja. And then the ninja throws a fireball in the cop's face and vanishes.
Yes.
Which makes Brad be like, oh, he really is a ninja. I was like, what?
Did you see that? He can go invisible.
But the cop also is like, wow. And it's just like
Yeah.
suddenly fine.
But then the cop stops chasing Brad and Dan and Carol after this ninja disappears with the fireball. This was baffling. They decide it's time now to break their getaway, not while he was busy with the ninja.
No, they're watching the ninja.
Yeah, fuck. So they decide the best route out of here is to run across an open field.
Oh yeah, I have no idea why this cop does not pursue them. Like, he is still there. Brad is still very much wanted for murder. And like you said, they run through a wide open field. The cop just lets him go. I guess that fireball really convinced him they're innocent also. That is the real lesson of this movie. If you're ever accused of murder, just summon a ninja and everyone will believe you didn't do it. That's all it takes.
If you can convince them that ninjas are real.
Well, when they see the ninja, right away, they're like, innocent.
I hope you never commit murder, but
too.
if you do, I will put on a ninja suit for you.
Fuck yes. We did it. Now, as if all of this wasn't implausible enough, once Brad, Dan, and Carol are in the clear, we see that Carol is totally falling for Brad, like you said. You know, Brad, the guy that up until 30 seconds ago, she thought had murdered her best friend.
Yeah.
She's staring at him all dreamy-eyed, close, talking to him from like an inch away, then kisses him before she leaves with Dan. And Brad even slaps her on the ass when she leaves. What is happening here?
Like, I don't
It's
understand.
unbelievable.
I don't understand how it got here. This kiss comes out of nowhere. They're like making a plan about how to get out of here and get help, and all of a sudden their lips are connecting. There was very little passion, though. You can tell that these two were not used to kissing randoms. I guess most people
They
aren't,
are
but-
randoms to each other at this
Yeah,
point.
that's what I mean. Yeah. Well, that's what it felt like. It literally felt like there was no connection. The fact that he slaps her on the ass as she walks away, though, like, ugh.
Just contextually, that's weird.
Yeah, it was strange.
Very odd.
So they're in love now. They've decided that the two of them, Dan and Carol, are going to go get help. So they're going to head back to town, see if they can find someone they can convince about this. And that Brad is going to go run back to the barn.
The same barn?
Well, it's the barn from the Parker house.
Oh, you know what? They do mention later that they were surprised he went back somewhere he'd already been. So that makes sense.
Yeah, so
Okay.
he's trying to do a little bit of like an Uno reverse here, go back and hide himself, see if the police are smart enough to find him. So he goes for a run, and it's an extended film cut run.
Yeah, he's there for a while. We do spend a lot of time outside, like you said. Now, you mentioned the police. They need a new strategy, so they call a town meeting at the local diner and urge everyone to keep an eye out for the mysterious ninja. Now, a few people in the crowd are like, a ninja? Seriously? So George shows them proof by pulling out a medallion they found at one of the scenes. And how would you describe the reaction of one local dishwasher when he sees this?
Racist.
Oh, come on now. Do you think so?
Oh my God. So I guess the dishwasher at the restaurant and where they're holding this meeting is a Japanese guy.
Yeah, they tell us that afterwards.
Well, they tell us.
I'm not convinced he was.
He definitely wasn't.
Well, you don't say definitely.
Well, they don't show us a Japanese human. They show us with someone with their face down screaming, "Ninja, ninja, ninja!"
That's what it actually sounds
run
like.
away. Yeah. And then the guy complains that he's not going to have a dishwasher anymore.
We need someone to wash the dishes.
Holy fuck.
The cop's like, he'll come back. His family's been here forever. Yeah, so this is a tough one. I don't know what to say about this. So we've basically got now a lynching situation here with the whole town trying to run Brad down and string him up, metaphorically, if not literally. And they find him really quick, too. But as we see, all of these locals are no match for the awesome power of Brad and, of course, the ninja. They all get their asses kicked, except for a very convincing Willie Nelson impersonator who is apparently providing the soundtrack to this scene. This music was a super weird choice.
I mean, first of all, if you're Brad and you're going to run outside during the day when you know everyone's searching for you, the likelihood is people are going to find you.
Find him so fast.
He didn't steal a vehicle. Like, he's not trying to be sleuthy or get places quickly. He is literally running out in the open. So, of course, this mob finds him. The music choice of having this Willie Nelson look-alike, I can only assume, it's pretty good Willie Nelson look-alike.
You thought it was Willie Nelson.
For a second, I was like, there's no way.
There's
Willie
no
Nelson
fucking
here.
way. But it is a very good.
And
he looks more like Willie Nelson than Nick Nixon looks like Michael McDonald.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so they're singing a country folk-ish song.
It's like a vaguely wistful, like kind of romantic song.
About running, though, which is hilarious. Like, it is about running away from things that are happening to you. So they're trying to contextually have it here. It does not fit with this ninja kicking everyone's ass.
Not at all.
My favorite part of the ninja kicking everyone's ass scene is when he emerges from a pile of leaves.
Well, that's a classic ninja hiding place. Come on now.
He was already fighting them. This wasn't the first way that he appeared. He fights a few of them and then hides himself in a pile of fucking leaves and then pops out to kick another guy's ass as he's beating up Brad. Are you fucking kidding me?
No one sees him crawling into the pile of leaves.
Nobody saw him trying to cover himself. I can just picture this pathetic attempt of a guy trying to cover himself some leaves. Holy fuck.
No, you're right. This does not make a lot of sense. What else doesn't make any sense is Carol and Dan's part of this plan. They go to make some calls to get this thing sorted out, but they don't really know where to begin. So they decide just to go back to the old barn where Brad is. And this old barn is where all this shit's going to go down. But in order to keep the lie going, George and Grady have to head in alone, which is inexplicably what they do. Like, why is there not a giant mob of town folk there? It's just the two of them and some deputy. Like, we'll take care of this.
Yeah, they leave the deputy behind. I mean, the deputy does find Dan and Carol, and he follows them back to this barn.
Yes, this time we know who called it in. It was this guy.
Yes, so we know he knows where they are. And George actually makes the smart call of not arresting Dan and Carol. He knows that they're probably going to lead them back to Brad. So that was kind of a smart move by the cops, I guess, because he's going to isolate them. He and Grady go in there because it's time for him to stop this all.
Well, we should talk about that, though, because before they show up, Brad, Dan, and Carol are having a conversation in the old barn, and they're literally standing next to the door. And like many old barns, there's like gaps in between the wood. They can see out the door, and yet George and Grady walk right in and get the drop on them completely, even though they're right. How did they not fucking spot them coming?
It was pretty hilarious, too, because George walks in and sort of like finishes the sentence that they're having. It was so close that he actually overheard and was able to shut it for them. They were making their plan, figuring out how they were going to pin this on George. And George knows that he really can't leave any of them alive if he wants this to happen. So we're about to have a quadruple frame job.
Seems like it, but Grady is having second thoughts about this. So George knocks him out, and this is where he lays out his plan. He is going to kill Brad and Dan, then strangle Carol to death and make her look like a rape victim. This is not the worst plan in the world, but the ninja shows up to throw a wrench into things. George is ready, excited even to fight him.
So you're the devil old Conway was yelling about. You look like an ordinary man dressed up in a funny costume to me. You know what? I think you'd die like an ordinary man, too.
But this fight does not go well for him.
Oh, goodness, yes. So the ninja comes. I don't know what he does. He sort of like wraps a coil around George's arm to pull the gun out. And they have a one-on-one. We get a couple hilarious moments. One in which the ninja almost like rolls and George flies in the air a whole bunch.
Yeah, the flopping in this is incredible.
Oh my God, it was pretty special. But it ends with George getting impaled on a piece of farm equipment.
Yeah, the ninja like trips him or something, or like throws him, and he ends up. It looks like a piece of like sharp metal. I don't know this equipment. It's like just a literal like triangular piece of metal sticking
Fence
up, and
post.
he goes right through it, kind of.
Yeah.
We don't really see it. We just see him like from below, and there's the thing behind him, and there's blood, kind of.
This is the most impactful, the most like.
It's their biggest swing.
Yeah.
They took a big swing for this effect, and I don't think they hit it.
When you see the actor flying towards the spot where they're going to get impaled, there's no
spike. It's not there.
Yeah.
You couldn't risk him actually landing on it.
So they didn't have it there, and then they show the like dummy going through a spike, and then they show the blood running. And they've tried to cover it with editing, but it doesn't really land.
Great.
No.
Well, with George dead, though, it seems like Brad is in the clear, although it's maybe not such a sure thing when that deputy who called it in gets him at gunpoint. But at this exact moment, the chief breezes in, and Grady wakes up ready to confess to everything. So this all gets tied up into a neat little bow, but you may be asking yourself, what about the ninja?
He's around. He'll always be around.
And this is literally true in our final scene.
This wrap-up scene happened so quickly. Like, the point of them having the culmination in the barn... You were hoping for a giant like shootout or something. Yeah, I was harkening back to Tammy and the T-Rex from last season.
You fucking love that movie, eh?
Oh my God, so good. Where we had
rated very highly for both of us.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping for something epic like that. We did get that fight, and our evil cop does take it in the end here. But the chief comes in and cleans this all up. Grady is going to jail for being a part of this cover-up. The other three need to go in to make statements. So they take Carol and they take Dan in the cop car, but they allow our Brad character, the one who was suspected all along, to walk back to town. He needs some time to himself. I do want to mention, after he walks away and all the police take off, they also leave George's body there. This is quite...
We have to assume the coroner's on the way.
Oh, yeah, the coroner's on the way. He's going to get there after he's done like with the rest of his work. I don't know. So pretty hilarious. I love that part of it. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but I think it's funny.
It's very funny.
So he goes for a walk. He's walking down the road, and somehow he ends up in the middle of a giant field.
Yet another giant field, where he finds the ninja who's like, seems to be like praying or something, and he manages to sneak up on the ninja, or does he?
Well, he walks up behind the ninja, taps the ninja on the shoulder, and then we get a sweet double leg takedown here.
Yeah, the ninja like rolls, and when he rolls, he like traps Brad's legs and drops him to the ground, which is pretty good. Though when he sees Brad, he backs off. And now, inexplicably, with mere seconds to go in this movie, we get a sudden infusion of backstory as Brad reminds us of a story he heard about a Japanese family who fled to DeSoto, Missouri from the West Coast to avoid anti-Asian discrimination after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. A story which the ninja silently confirms is true before once again disappearing. And with that, we hit the credits at the 68-minute mark. Jesus Christ.
What I want to know is this the same family who is also the dishwashers?
If it's so, why is the dishwasher so scared of the ninja?
That's what I'm wondering. This is my question, because were there two families that came to DeSoto, Missouri for the exact same reason?
I got to tell you, based on the people from DeSoto we saw, I would be stunned if there was more than one Japanese family. I didn't even see a black guy.
Well, this is what I mean. I'm trying to wonder how that guy didn't know that it was like one of their family members. This is probably two fucking brothers, and one's a ninja and one's a dishwasher.
This is not a very it's real sliding doors thing right there.
Yeah, holy fuck.
I don't know, man. This does not seem like a very diverse community, I guess, is the point of what we're saying here.
No. So
yeah. And that's 68 minutes, man.
You know what? I don't mind. I like that they achieved the goals that they wanted. They fit it all in here, and they didn't need to squeeze a bunch of unnecessary extras in there. You always complain about padding. How can you not be happy with such a nice, concise 70-minute movie?
5 seconds ago, you were saying they rushed through the end part. They wrapped it up too quick, so you're contradicting yourself.
Yeah, I would have loved 20 more minutes of a battle in that barn.
I'm saying, no, but to answer your question, if it's less than 90, if I had paid money to see this in theaters, I don't even think this is definitely not in theaters, but like, you know what I mean? You feel a little ripped off. Like, this is fucking like watching a TV show. It's a 1 hour. Come on. You got to give more than an hour.
Would it be great to have an extra 15 minutes of this? Sure. I wouldn't complain. This was something to watch.
What a labor of love this must have been. Like, not just for the filmmakers, but the whole town. And to be clear, this thing is insanely low quality, as so many shot on video movies are. But there is something inherently charming about this.
Yeah, I agree too. I like that the town came together to produce this, make something that they were willing to share with the world. Anyone who's willing to create content and share things, I think, should be commended. Do we shit on stuff all the time? Absolutely,
Yes.
because that's
kind of what we do.
We do it, and it is for fun, and we're probably going to shit all over this for sure, but that doesn't mean we don't think it should have been made or that we don't appreciate the work that the people put into this thing.
Do you think that on the Welcome to DeSoto, Missouri, like town sign, it says Justice Ninja Style anywhere?
If it doesn't,
Let's fix that.
It needs to. Yeah, when we visit it, we're gonna get a sweet sticker printed and
slap it on there.
I mean, we are probably
Justice
committing
Ninja Style.
some kind of crime that they now have evidence of.
I don't even know
but,
if this is still a town. We'll find out. So
if you are from DeSoto, Missouri, and you happen to listen to our podcast, please let us know how the town is doing and whether there is a Justice Ninja Style sticker on the town sign. And if not, would you like one?
There you go. And speaking of letting us know, right now we're going to let you know how we felt about this movie. It's time to transition to our ratings. The way we always do this, we rate the movie on a scale of 1 to 10 two times. 1 to 10 for how bad it is, 1 to 10 for how enjoyable. And the goal is to find movies that are a 10 out of 10 on both scales, or what we call the Crit 20. And the first thing I will say for my bad rating is the acting is terrible. Like, this has to be the worst acting across the board of any movie we've ever seen.
Birdemic?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Fuck, Birdemic. Okay, well, other than the guy who played George, though, who, to be clear, also was not that good, but was definitely functioning on a higher plane than everyone else, there is not a remotely convincing performance in this thing.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah.
The acting
How can you?
is absolutely atrocious. It's clearly non-actors performing in these roles.
Yes, definitely. Also, I feel that is true in the action scenes. The action scenes are ridiculous. I feel like you and I could have seamlessly stepped into any of these fights and done just as good a job as everyone other than the ninja.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So there's that. The effects are basically non-existent here. There is no blood at all until the very end when George gets impaled on that piece of metal. And other than the fake torso the ninja pulls out in that barn, everything is just like guys falling over, you know?
Yeah, no, there's not a lot here.
No, there's not. I'm going to let you talk about the soundtrack, but I feel like we just have to give this a 10 bad on principle. Like, this is strikingly amateurish. Although, I do want to give them a tiny bit of credit. The plot mostly makes sense. And we've seen a few movies where the plot does not make sense. This thing is coherent, if nothing else, for the most part. And there were a couple of decent camera shots. So maybe this is like a 9.9 bad, but I got to round it up to the 10. What about you?
I'm just going to start by saying it's a 10.
Yeah.
And that's not to shit on it, but it is definitely in our scale a 10 bad in terms of quality. The acting, I agree, is awful. I felt that the dialogue, the writing was equally atrocious. I know that the acting's awful, but they weren't given a lot to work with. And in fact, they were all given too many lines.
Oh, interesting.
I feel like they were given too much to say. There was way too much exposition. They should have been doing more and saying less.
Well, yeah, when you go back to the narrator thing, the thoughts in their head, that's a great example of that.
Yeah, I think that like really added to the bad rating. I think that the action is quite poor. Most of the martial arts moves are really bad in comparison to real like martial arts actual films or other things that we've seen. And we know that there's lots of martial arts movies that came out pre and post this that had way better action. The only one who seemed somewhat capable was the ninja. And even then, not that much so, right? Like they were a martial artist, I'm sure, but not a tremendously effective one, right? Like if you wanted to put them against martial arts stars from the time or now, they would be absolutely like humiliated.
Okay, well, I'm gonna put you on the spot here then. Better movie martial artist, this ninja or Steven Seagal?
Okay. This martial artist, this ninja,
the ninja, wow,
is a better martial artist than Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal does not have a lot of moves. He throat rips and he like chops and he like talks some shit, but he doesn't do a lot of movement or action.
Okay, follow-up question. Would Steven Seagal have been better than everyone else in this movie, but still below the ninja?
Yes.
Okay, that's the highest praise I've ever heard you give Steven Seagal.
I fucking hate Steven Seagal.
You made that very clear when we watched Under Siege a couple of seasons ago, yeah.
Both as a human and an actor, I hate him, but that's okay.
All right.
So all of those things are bad. The effects aren't there, and I know I was arguing with you. The length of it is pretty laughable at 70 minutes.
That's right. It is. So
yeah.
10 bad.
10 bad.
But
so,
how enjoyable did you find this movie on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, so this one is interesting, right? I really like the setting of the town. I like that they use the real police cars, the real police station. They use the fire trucks. They made it feel kind of authentic. There was too much running through fields for me, a little bit, right? But otherwise, I enjoyed it. I actually thought for filming it like on actual videotape, they did a good job with the camera and editing.
Yeah, I've watched a few shot on video movies, and it's very obvious it's happening sometimes. But with this, there were moments where I kind of forgot.
Yeah, I actually did. Like, it didn't take away from my enjoyment and or good or bad rating, which means I think they did quite a good job with that. I thought the editing was okay. I thought the music was not great.
You didn't really talk about it. Like what
so it's funny because in terms of hitting the mood or where it was supposed to, it was probably accurate. It was just so
except
low
for that
budget.
Willie Nelson song.
But I actually kind of liked that it was I like that it was a song about running, and that it was like I like that moment of juxtaposition between the actual tone of what the song should be and what was happening.
Okay.
I kind of like that moment a bit. And I'm trying to compare it to other movies that we've watched.
It's so different from everything else we've watched. From just from a production standpoint, like being shot on video makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
in terms of what you can do.
Well, but I mean for my enjoyability, right? Like I'm thinking about it for Miami Connection. I gave a Crit 22. That was a 10 out of 10. And Champagne and Bullets I think about too, because it's sort of the closest thing that we've watched. I think this is actually a better story and is like clear.
It makes more sense.
It makes a lot more sense than Champagne and Bullets. I'm a little sad that it doesn't have the same kind of music.
Gratuitous nudity.
And gratuitous nudity.
There's no nudity in this at all.
This lacks some sexuality. I will say that wasn't a part of it, and maybe the town is a conservative town in their, I don't know, physicality.
They couldn't convince any locals to pop their top.
Yeah, I don't know. So we got a very mild peck between Carol and Brad. And
it might even have been a cheek kiss. I'm not convinced she got him on the lips.
It didn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I liked the experience of watching this. I laughed a lot. I was kind of happy and inspired by the town and what they've done, but I couldn't give this a 10 for enjoyability. I had it at an 8. I think it was worth watching. I think if you haven't seen it, it's worth your 70 minutes. It doesn't take that long. You'll have some fun with it, and pretty good experience. Thank you for the recommendation to the VHShitfest people. That was really cool.
Yeah, I agree. Great recommendation. This was really fun to do as a special bonus episode here. My enjoyable rating, I feel it pretty much the exact same way as you. There are a couple of things that stop this from being a 10 for me as well. I said I found it charming. I did find it very charming. I think what was missing for me, some of the effects, the fact there wasn't enough blood, there was no nudity, and for this kind of like, let's be honest here, this is like below a B movie. I expected something kind of schlocky. It didn't really have all those elements. It more seemed like a genuine, heartfelt effort on just a tiny fucking budget, but everyone in the town getting on board. I like that too. You have it as an 8. I'm going to call it an 8 also. Like, I really think like it's a charming experience. I'm glad we watched this. It would have been cool to be in this. Yeah. I feel like if I had lived in DeSoto, Missouri in 1986 and I could be like, that was me. Like that is a silly thing you fucking joke about like at a bar over beers or something. But like, this is a fun experience, a good time. I did laugh at a lot of things. I will definitely check out some more VHShitfest releases in the future.
Yeah, I look forward to watching some too. It's really, really fun. I like that they are finding movies that are similar to this one, right? I assume the others kind of have the same kind of feel.
I have to assume yes, but I guess we'll find out a little bit later on. What'd you think of this beer?
I loved it. Super easy for me to crush. It leaned more, I would say, to the IPA side.
Oh my God, it leaned a lot more, dude.
Yeah.
This is the hoppiest pale ale I've ever had in my life. It was cloudy, not a fan.
Oh, so I really, really enjoyed it. I thought the hops were great. I love the cloudy pale ale style. I've drank a lot of Town, mostly IPAs, and this fits right in with the other stuff that they make. Always good quality, always enjoyable. So if you, like me, enjoy a hoppy, more East Coast style IPA, then anything from Town Brewery will make you a happy person.
And I want to be clear, I did not enjoy this particular beer, but I have had many Town offerings as well, and I enjoy several of them. It's a cool brewery. The can art on all their cans is really cool also. They have other pale ales that I like. This one was just a little more leaning towards IPA, like you said. Not the one for me, but you clearly enjoyed it a lot. So if you're an IPA lover looking for something a little bit lighter, go have some outside jokes.
Yeah, I love that it's 5%, right? So you can have a few of these and not feel jeopardized like drinking some of the 7-8% IPAs.
There you go. Well, that is going to wrap up this very special bonus episode. We are still off for a few weeks as we try and sort out our upcoming 4th season. There's going to be some exciting stuff and a couple of changes also that we'll be talking about later on. But we thank you so much for joining us today. Before you come back in September, hopefully, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the BMB Podcast.
Get us some suggestions for our upcoming season. You can send them to the DMs of those social media accounts or the bmbpodcast@gmail.com.
Definitely. We love to hear from you, and thank you for joining us today for Justice Ninja Style. Until this fall and the start of our 4th season, I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
And we'll see you next time on Bad Movies and Beer.
Ninja Unknown. White guy.
You think he was a white guy?
Absolutely.
That's pretty clear. Blink, and you die in the dark.